Hello, and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Still working on the role of the horse in farming, and much of this is going to be on William Kureluk. I've spoken about him before, but I have some new things I want to share and say. They sought a new land. This is paintings and comments by William Kureluk. Additional text by Margaret Engelhardt. Now, really, it's Margaret that does most of the writing, and there are a few excerpts here and there by William Kureluk. But the paintings that are used to illustrate it are all his. The story of European immigration to North America. And I think Margaret did a fantastic job. I think this would be a wonderful starting point in looking about immigration. Both the United States and Canada are discussed in this. When the people left their countries and came, many of them came with a dream of owning their own land. But wasn't always possible. They didn't have much money, and they had to take what kind of jobs they could get. Working in the force was one of them. Working for the railroad was another one of the jobs that they often found work at. Lots of land's been cleared by the time this picture takes place. Look at all the stones that have created that wall, and the rail fences, and piles of wood here, and a barn, and it's a lot of work's gone into this. Hay. A lot of work, and it didn't come easy in terms of finding land, and of course land that one could afford was often had a lot of work in it to get it to the point where you could start to grow things on it. Here the farm wedding, and horse-drawn wagons would bring the people, and they look a bit like Amish wagons, these two do. But this is in either Saskatchewan or Alberta. But good-sized farms by this point in time for some families, and quite an event. Relatives would come great distances, as it was a rare chance for a family reunion, and they were going to have a band and a place to dance. And looking back, well, some of them had some success. Here we've got the planes flying, we've got the modern tractors at work, some oil derricks, so as I say, I think a good introduction to any kind of study dealing with immigration is facts and figures, and the ups and downs, and problems that were solved and problems that weren't solved. Farm Boys, Prairie Boys Summer. I've shown you before, painting and story this time. It's just William Kureluk telling things that he remembered. Here he and his brother got the task of getting the cows into the barn, but they've been distracted by little killdeers, and who will run along the grass and or pretend to be. So, and the mother's out here. She says, "Hey, get those cows in!" She shouted from the garden where she was hoeing out the weeds in the cabbages. So everybody was involved with the work, and William learned a lot of different skills. Here he is cultivating the corn, and what was fed to the livestock, what was it was a lot of knowledge went into it, and the kind of work that had to go on was pretty touchy work, but he got better at it with practice. Well, don't we all, I guess. Here, his job was, before going to bed, to go out as the sun setting. This is maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. And in the summer in the north of Saskatchewan or Alberta, and his job was to make a smudge, and it had to be just layered in the right way, wet and dry, and to keep smoke coming. Didn't want to burn it. He wanted to have a burn going, but the burn slow and steady, and a smudge that would last through the night to keep the mosquitoes from driving the horses crazy. Because when night falls in this part of northern Saskatchewan and Alberta, the mosquitoes are just, even in the daytime they can be. So here's a picture of the tractor at work. He had difficulties with certain things. He just wasn't big enough, strong enough to tip and get things out. He tried siphoning it, and sometimes that didn't work at all. And so here comes his sister out to see him. Here's a cutting the grain, mechanical. And as the field gets smaller, the animals of all sort of concentrate further away, and others sweep around. They get, and so now he did the Prairie Boys Winter as well. And again, I've shown you some things, but I want to just focus on the size of the barn, the size of the haystacks, and to maintain a dairy cattle. So you had to have fields for that, and the first snow, here they are. Not all of the hay is brought in. It's often stacked and snow falls on it. You've got to clear that off at times, load and bring in. And that's what they're doing here, hauling hay. Another team working over there. But there was good compensations for that. Skiing behind the hay rack. And the three guys are out here having great fun. Sometimes going over the tops of the fence and coming back over, or maybe not seeing a place to come back over for a while. Quite a life. Now, he was asked to do the illustrations for W.O. Mitchell's famous story of Who Has Seen the Wind. Takes place in the northern prairies, and this painting was used on the cover, working a pair of horses. Now, they don't seem to be attached. I think he may even just be training them, So, W.O. Mitchell. Here's another novel of W.O. Mitchell's called Jake and the Kid that I think both of those two you might enjoy. I did, but I like Jake and the Kid the best. So, but that's now this is To My Father's Village. He goes on a trip to the Ukraine and finds a village where his father grew up. Now we know that the Ukraine in current politics has been a breadbasket, agricultural breadbasket of Russia, or of the Ukraine now, and of the countries that depend upon that. And they did this just to show the contrast between one plowed furrow and this plowing by the modern mechanized plows. The last book I'd like to share with you is Pamela Porter. This is the book called The Crazy Man. You can see a tractor wheel here, and it's a beautifully told and creative way that she's gone about expressing this and putting it onto the page. It's very, very reader-friendly, easy to read, and yet so moving. I had, over the years, increased the amount of books in the classroom for quiet reading. I always, we read novels together, but each day, and there were times when I read to them as well, and then there was time after noon recess, come in, settle down, find a book. Sometimes they might take most of the 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes maybe, to even find a book. But no, that was fine. It was a time that I think they appreciated as their time. And so with a big selection of books, this book was only read by one person, but they let me know that they really enjoyed it. Here's the way it starts. Half the town's driving past our farm today, churning up dust on the road, just to stare at a man driving a tractor. Now, it's just a few pages in that you are just caught right up in things. So it's you don't have to read chapters and chapters before you get to it gets it'll have you and hold you like it did that young lady and like it did me. So I recommend that as well. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.